Welcome to the Wake Up Call podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Hopkins, life coach, recovering perfectionist, crazy animal lover, and your go-to friend for all things wellness. If you're the type of woman who constantly feels burned out, overwhelmed, and like you have zero time for yourself, then this is the show for you. I'll show you that it is completely possible to live a life you look forward to every single day by learning simple, actionable steps to start putting yourself first. Burnout and overwhelm are not welcome here, but a little bit of crazy sure is. So if you're ready for your wake-up call with a girl who's not afraid to drop an F-bomb every now and then, let's dive in. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Wake Up Call podcast. This is your host, Alicia Hopkins, and today's episode is going to be a little bit of a tactical episode. And here's what I mean by that. My intent of this episode is to arm you with a few tools that you can put in your toolkit to help you if you are experiencing an episode of overwhelm, chronic stress, maybe your anxiety is flaring up. And I'm wondering if any of these scenarios have ever happened to you, right? Have you ever been in like Target or Costco and you're shopping, going around the store, and all of a sudden you notice you're kind of needing to lean on your cart a little bit more than you would have. You're feeling a little maybe like lightheaded, a little dizzy, and you're using your cart to steady. And then you feel flooded with a lot of thoughts that are fearful, like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And you find yourself leaving your cart and just this inert drive to get the hell out of there, right? You just need to get the heck out of Dodge. Or maybe you've been driving, right? And you're driving along, and the next thing you notice, you're feeling like you almost have tunnel vision. Your palms are sweating. Again, that lightheadedness, maybe your chest starts to tighten. Or maybe you've experienced a time when your mind was so bogged down with thoughts that it felt like a pressure cooker, and you're thinking, if I have just one more thought enter into my brain right now, it's going to explode. All of these are very real world examples of what happens in our body, our minds, when we are overwhelmed, right? When we are stressed, we're feeling anxiety, our body is saying there is too much going on. And I know from personal experience and in talking to others, it can elicit a feeling of panic and just generally not knowing what the heck to do to stop feeling like that. So what I'm going to share with you in this episode today is ways you can help orient yourself to the here and now, right? How you can start to calm yourself, self-soothe, and start working through these episodes of overwhelm and getting back to the present moment. Because I don't know about you, but when these moments have happened to me, they have robbed me of presence. I have felt led by the sensations and the feelings, the fears that start coming up in my body. And it's robbing us of this experience of life, right? I want you to be able to navigate these stressful situations and come back to what's actually happening in your life. So it feels like the obvious thing I have to acknowledge first is the power of your breath, right? You may have heard, right? You may have said it to someone, or maybe someone said it to you like, hey, just take a breath, right? It sounds cliche, but here's the thing. It's more than taking a breath. It's taking the right kinds of breath. What happens when you are stressed and you are feeling overwhelmed? I'm going to guess what's happening is you're breathing rather shallow from your chest. You're taking quick, rapid breaths. And all this is doing is contributing to the feeling of being lightheaded. You might notice your heart rate going up, right? It's just that feeling of you can't catch your breath. So what I want you to do is if you are feeling really overwhelmed, right, and you're starting to notice it in your physical body, start taking control of your breath. Those breaths, really, you want to focus on that inhale and a full exhale, but more importantly, that they're coming from your belly, not your chest, right? And one of the easiest ways you can do this is put a hand on your chest and put a hand on your belly. And when you're breathing, which hand is moving, right? When you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, my guess is that hand that's on your chest is the one that you feel breathing. So a great way to check in and see where your breaths are coming from are just notice you want that bottom hand, that hand on your belly to be moving, right? That's representing getting a nice full breath. When you start taking control of your breath, you can start to rewire those responses in your body. And it's going to be one way to start bringing that heart rate down, start cutting that feeling of lightheadedness, and overall just starting to slow things down, right? So I know it's cliche when they say take a breath, but we are going to take the right kind of breaths, right? So really get focused on your breathing if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. Something else, and we were just doing this as part of the last exercises, but if you're feeling overwhelmed, one thing you can do is put your hand on your chest, okay? And we know there's power in the human touch. Think about when babies are born, that skin to skin contact, or how you feel after someone gives you a hug, right? So a lot of times when you might be feeling these, episodes of overwhelm, you might be by yourself, right? So that's okay. You can self-soothe. You can take your hand, literally put it on your chest, and just notice what you feel from the touch, right? Even just touching yourself, it's like it sends your thoughts somewhere else. It's a new sensation in your body, right? So put your hand on your chest, and I want you to start just slowing those thoughts and noticing what you're experiencing and telling yourself that it's going to be okay, right? Okay, so something that you can do in conjunction with that hand on your chest, and you're going to laugh when I say it, you might even just think I'm nuts, but I want you to start talking to yourself, right? Before we go to a place of judging and thinking that's like the weirdest thing you've ever heard, let's think about it. When you have had to comfort a friend, what are you doing? You're talking to them. You're telling them that it's going to be okay. You're telling them that you're there for them. I'm going to guess the tone of your voice is calm, right? It's, hey, we're going to get through this. We've been here before. We can get through it again. That's what you're going to start doing for yourself. It's another way you can self-soothe. So whether it is with your hand on your chest, I find that it is very helpful that when you have that contact, but I want you to start talking to yourself, and whether it's using an internal voice or call me crazy, I think there's a lot, and there's science that shows it too, that hearing your actual voice, there's power in that. So if at first you're like, Alicia, you're fucking nuts, maybe start with just the internal talk to yourself. But I'm telling you, as you get more comfortable with that and you start audibly telling yourself that it's going to be okay, that you're here, like, I got you, we're going to get through this, you'll start to notice that you do feel a little bit of calm start to enter into the picture, right? So just another tool. All of these things can be used in conjunction with each other. So another thing I want you to start doing is if you're feeling those, just that, and when I say it, it's like, the best way I think about it is when you just get completely flooded with overwhelmed, and it's like you feel like you're going to short circuit, your mind's going a mile a minute, those physical sensations are coming up. Another thing you can start to do is to look around your environment. And I want you to literally take your eyes, like look to the right, look to the left. What do you see? Can you start naming what you see? Like maybe you see, I'm looking out my window right now. I see some cars driving. I notice some trees. I see that it's a sunny day. What's happening when you do that is you are orienting yourself to the actual physical environment in which you're in. And this is why it's important. Often when we are caught up in these episodes of overwhelmed thoughts, we're caught in our thought life, right? And all you're doing is it's like they're churning, they're swirling, you're fueling the fire. Like your thoughts just it's like an avalanche, right? When we can interrupt that process and get tethered into the actual, like I'm touching the desk that's in front of me, right? If you're driving, you feel the steering wheel, you look at what's happening all around you. It's starting to bring you from your head to your environment, to the body, to what's all around you, right? It's very, very powerful. Something else you can start to do is when you're looking in your environment, if there's something out there that you're looking at that is especially maybe like pleasing or makes you feel good, like I'm looking outside, I love nature, I see water, I see trees. you can just hold your gaze there. Try just looking at something that feels steadying or calm or pleasing for like 30 seconds. You're gonna notice things starting to slow. Okay, so we're looking at our environment, we're naming what we see. Now, what I want you to start directing your attention to is parts of your body that feel okay. And if they don't feel okay or good, can you even think about it as parts of your body that are neutral? I shared this on a recent reel about anxiety associated with flying. And I can think about like that used to be a terrible experience for me. Like, literally could not step on a plane if I wasn't medicated or had had like a glass of wine. It just was a major fear evoking situation for me. So I can think about times that when I was on a plane and I was feeling particularly anxious. So, right, my upper extremities, like it's almost like my arms go numb. I feel a lot of tightness in my chest. I get shooting pains. I start to feel dizzy. Literally, I would say, what part of your body feels neutral right now? And I'm not kidding you. One time I remember it was literally my calf muscle. Like I just thought about my lower leg, my calf. I'm like, my calf feels okay. And so this is why you want to do that. When we are in a panicked, like a heightened arousal state, your mind is going to those parts of your body that don't feel good, that are fearful, scary, because our minds, our brains, our body, it's designed to keep us safe, right? And it's tuning in to what we're feeding it. Well, if you can start redirecting those thoughts, like that pattern of where your focus is, to the things that feel okay or neutral, you're planting those seeds to start redirecting. So on that flight, what I started to notice is I was starting to get tuned into my leg, for example, and some of that focus on how I was feeling in my chest, how I was feeling in my head. It's like the scales start to turn a little bit, right? And that's what you're looking to do. You want to give your body evidence that you're okay. So one of the ways you can do that is tuning into the parts of your actual body that feel okay. One other thing I wanted to add, just another tool in your toolkit, is the power of music. We all know that music, like there's an effect, right? You can hear a song that maybe takes you back to like your high school days or like your first love, right? Music can transport us to somewhere. So if you are in a place that you're feeling really, really overwhelmed, why not put some music on that redirects you and starts putting you into a different state of being, takes you, like transports you out of the stress and into something that is more pleasing. I know for me, what I've started to do, this was something I've probably identified maybe about a year ago on my XM. There's a station that plays like spa music, and I literally saved it as a station so that if I start to feel like the panic or, just my racing thoughts come into play, I'll put that station on, and it's all like, if you've been to a spa, kind of like that's just chill Zen music. I don't even like to hear words sometimes because I feel like, when you're in that place where your head is just flooded with thoughts, like the last thing I want to do is introduce some new ones. So that's why I have that spa channel on to help kind of ease me. But I know I've also used like, you can also do feel good, like pump up music. I do that a lot, like at the end of the day, if I'm just like exhausted and need like a pick me up. But music can be used when you're feeling overwhelmed, right? So whether you're in your car, whether you can dial up some music on your phone and pop some headphones in, that's just something else that can help bring you just down from that heightened state of awareness, that state of being, and start bringing you closer to a place of calm. Okay, so let's go over this again. The tools that I shared with you today, right? We're going to tap into our breathing. We're going to get those belly breaths, right? That help to activate the calming effect in our bodies. So we're going to move away from the chest breath. Remember, like we're going to put our hands on our chest and our belly and notice where that breath is coming from. That hand to chest, right? You can even touch other parts of your body. I have found my chest, for whatever reason, and I even like put pressure on it, that has been particularly soothing. So that's another thing you can do, that power of touch, right? You're going to start talking to yourself and reassuring yourself that it's okay, right? Part of that too is starting to notice and call out what you're seeing in your environment, right? What you physically see around you, because we're going to start orienting to our physical environment rather than getting stuck in our head. Then again, with our body, let's start directing the attention to the parts of it that are feeling neutral or okay, right? If finding something in your body that feels good, like you feel like you can't even do that, the goal is just to find something that's neutral, that it's not good, it's not bad. I don't care if it's your freaking pinky finger, your big toe, your nose. Find something in your body that is not impacted by those physical sensations of stress. And lastly, something outside of your body, but that it has an impact on your body, music, right? Can you tap into some music that makes you feel good, that helps bring you closer to a calming state? The reason I share these things, our body is one of the most overlooked tools in correcting our stress response. I think a lot of us underestimate the power of our body, and the more that we can start getting tuned in and tapped into it, you start creating that mind-body connection. And what I am finding, and in conversations with others, when you start getting that relationship, when you start building it, that's when you can start really changing the way you experience stress, the way you experience overwhelm, anxiety, right? We've got to stop living from our thoughts and engage our body, like get into the here and now. I hope these tools, even if you just take away one of them that are particularly helpful, I hope it serves you in some small way the next time you're in a season where you're feeling really, really freaking overwhelmed. So guys, connect with me, find me on Instagram at Alicia D. Hopkins. If you haven't yet rated and reviewed the podcast, I would love it if you would do that. Share it. I would love for other people to discover this show. And as always, just thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to connect with you on a future episode. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Wake Up Call podcast. If you liked what you heard today, I would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. It takes just a few minutes and does wonders for helping other people find the podcast. If you want to connect outside of the podcast, you can do so by following at Alicia D. Hopkins on Instagram. And if you really liked the episode you just listened to, do me a favor. Would you screenshot the episode and tag me? I would love to see what's resonating with you. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope today's episode helped you to see that you can wake up to the change that's possible in your life.